Right.
Yeah.
Next
There we
up.
go. There we go. Next
Excellent.
slide.
So, when I first got into Age of Sigma, I played Ben, who we obviously all know. Then I met Kieran. We met actually the first time I met Kieran was at the Birmingham GT, my first tournament. And the story is that a guy came over to us because Elson was playing Crawl Boys, and was like, "Have you got any advice for me? I'm about to play a Crawl Boys player." And Elson was like, "Whatever you do, don't charge the Bow Boys. Don't let him shoot you because he'll kill you straight away." A couple of hours later, the guy comes back to us. How did it go? Oh, I charged the Bow Boys, got killed straight away. So I went over to see this in the next game, the Rogue Idol there, which is the first time I've seen a Rogue Idol. Anyway, next day, or the next week, I go back, join the Northampton War Games for the first time, and there's a Rogue Idol on the table. Go speak to him, and it's Kieran, who we now all play with, and he's the guy at that tournament who taught us how to play Crawl Boy players now. In the last book, to give him his credence, Russ Taylor, we know, is a phenomenal player, wins plenty of tournaments. Kieran is the top ranked Crawl Boys player, I think, in the world. So he knows what he's doing with these things. As time goes on, we're talking about list building, and I asked him, "What's your philosophy for building lists?" And he said this: "Start with battle tactics. It's a points game. You win on points. You don't win on the most things killed. So when you look at those things, you start there." And this is a philosophy I took forward, and I spoke to you both about. Is when I went back to Skaven after having a rough time with them in the past. What I did, I listed all the battle tactics down one side of an Excel sheet. I listed all the units Skaven had, and then I started ranking them. 2 points if you can get me that battle strategy or grand strategy by yourself. 1 point if you can support me getting that grand strategy. So skitter leaping and stuff like that. What I did then, you add it all up, built a largest to smallest, and I found the best things are in the old GHB, gutter runners, night runners, plague priests, and sensor bearers, because they can do everything. Built a list like that, and got my first 3-2 Skaven, because I could score points all the time. Units of clan rats, perfect. So it's that kind of philosophy of building a list, is that you're not looking for what's cool, you're not looking for what's strong, you're simply looking to moneyball it. What puts points on the board? Simple as that. So with that in mind, that's why I came to you to build me lists which just get points on the board. So the first one up is Fyreslayers.
Fyreslayers, my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try not to go into too much detail on this one because I could talk a lot about this. But basically, like you said, this is one where the first thing I would say, if you're going to build around battle tactics, is don't ignore your book battle tactics.
No.
Particularly with the new GHBs that come out every 6-12 months and everything. They'll have their standard ones, but at this time of filming and talking about it, you are still allowed to use your book battle tactics. Now, some books actually have really easy ones, and other ones have atrociously hard ones. For the Fyreslayers, they have the middle ground where they have a couple really good unique ones which have actually been done in previous GHBs, but in the same time they've now disappeared, but as it's in the Fyreslayers book you can continue to use them and maximize the benefits of them. So with that in mind, I've actually managed to use this army previously. I've done a few changes there with new models coming out and a bit of teching and twisting on it, but ultimately I can ensure that with this list I can easily do 2 or 3 of my book battle tactics, and then the other ones will come quite comfortably out of the GHB book battle tactics.
Okay.
So with the Fyreslayers, I always go Gravefeared. There is other options for the factions, but Gravefeared means that your foot heroes, get an extra wound, and you're also allowed 2 more artifacts. A default staple of a Fyreslayers list is always a Runefather. He comes along. Now, I always give him Spear of Grimnir, which means when you, as a Fyreslayers player, you get to get a bonus each turn, bonus to your whole army, and you roll a dice, and on a 6 it gets enhanced even further. Spear of Grimnir actually does it on a 5 up instead of a 6 up. And then on top of that, you've got the Axe of Grimnir, which is just busts the Runefather up. It gives him an extra rend and an extra damage to his axe which will mean then he's hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, minus 3 rend for 4 damage. So he can get very swingy, and that's before he then gets his extra bonuses from the runes. As you'll see with most Fyreslayers lists, so particularly in Great Fear, they will max out their heroes. One reason for this is because ultimately when you look at the Fyreslayers book, you only really have 2, maybe 3 options of troops. So you might as well spend the points on your heroes. You'll see Grand Strategy Masters of the Forge. This really kind of is a staple again of Fyreslayers, because Masters of the Forge is make sure you have an invocation on the board. Now, an invocation is a bit like an end of spell, but you're doing it through preaching and prayers. And a lot of the time, if the opponent doesn't have a priest of his own, they can't stop it being on the board. So you cast your spell, you cast your invocation, and let it go and do its thing. And so long as it doesn't dispel itself or unbind itself, because it can do that with the Fyreslayers invocations, you've got your grand strategy confirmed. So that's 3 points, on the board ready for you. Rune Master there, you bring him in with the Volatile Brazier. The Volatile Brazier allows you to re-roll chanting rolls, and then if you are successful, you can actually extend the range of where you put the invocation when it comes out. And then he's just got heal, just to keep the heroes around him alive. New model out there, the Grimhold Exile, which has come out as part of the new Harbinger's book. I brought this in, and I used to have a Grimwrath Berserker with the Magmor Ale, and Magmor Ale doubles the attacks. But the Grimhold Exile I found has exactly the same profile as a Grimwrath Berserker, but so long as he's actually within 6 inches of more than 4 models, just 4 models, he gets a 4-up ward save.
Okay.
So you charge him in there. He has a special once per battle ability where he takes the wound characteristic of a unit within 1 inch of him, rolls that many dice, and I believe it's on 4-ups. It may even be on 3-ups, but I think it's 4-ups. They do mortal wounds. So you charge him in something like Archaon with 25 wounds, or a Giant with 35 wounds. You roll that many dice, and you laugh as he takes out, half that damage or something like that. And then you actually activate his Magmor Ale, giving him like 8 attacks before any rune bonuses, and that is 3/3s -2 for 2 damage. So you can get up 16 damage off his attacks after that. 2 Flame Keepers in there because they just help buff up the units around him as you take models off. I admit it, I've put Battlesmith in here because it's quite relevant with the new GHB and the magic casting. A Battlesmith with the Null Obsidian icon. Now, the old Null Obsidian icon gives a 4-up spell ignore bubble with wholly within 12 inches of him.
Okay.
So it's quite a big bubble. And once again, it just magnifies the idea of them sticking around. And then I had the point, so I did bring in a Berserker, but this time I gave him a Slayer Axe, which means ignores ward rolls. You can't ward roll his damage off. Now, what I've got in here though is then 20 Volkites with Sling Shields and 10 Volkites with Hand Axes, and then the bread and butter of Fyreslayers, Hearthguard Berserkers, and then you got the Molten Inferno. Now, the reason why I've taken the Volkites instead of more Hearthguard is because there's a battle tactic that if you have your Volkites in combat, or wholly within 3 inches of an enemy at the end of the turn, you get a battle tactic. It's one of their battle tactics. So that's an easy one to get. They have the original one if the enemy has more objectives at the beginning of the turn, make sure you control more by the end of the turn. And there's a third one as well where you can actually do it if your Runefather dies. Not that it's a great thing if he does, but if your Runefather dies, you can actually avenge him. And finally, they've also still got something called Book of Grudges, which if an enemy unit kills one of your units, so long as you can kill it in the turn you activate the battle tactic, you get the battle tactic. So essentially kill the unit that killed yours. That's 4 battle tactics already needed, and you only need 5. So this is why I built this one around the battle tactics, using a lot of the Fyreslayer book one. The grand strategy is generally a guarantee, so long as they don't have any wizards. And ultimately, you've got a very sticky force at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick question though, on the list, you have 7 heroes?
Yes. So this is not illegal. Basically, the Grimwrath Berserker counts as a leader, but does not count as one of your hero slots. He counts as troops. So yes, it looks 7, but in actual fact, it's counted as 6.
Excellent. Oh, okay, good. So when I'm familiar with the Fyreslayers, bar to be beaten by them. So um, those. So yeah, I think this is a good example of meshing the book tactics. Again, the list here, if I understand it, you're not looking to pick out the difficult tactics here. It's like what are the easiest ones to get on the board?
Yeah.
You have 4. It's like that's what you want. It benefits as well. The bodies is normally when they balance this game, it's the book tactics are to help the armies who can't stand on objectives, like KO getting on off a boat seems ridiculous, but they can't sit on an objective like other armies can. Here, you've built a list that allows for that as well.
Yeah.
Is this the one you went 4-1 with?
No. The one I went 4-1 with was Go Check. Similar sort of build, didn't have the Exile in there, and I had less Volkites. But ultimately, Go Check was kind of like a point just to go and create chaos.
Jason, what do you think?
One thing I will say is, Paul, your battle tactic of charging with getting your Volkites within 3 inches.
Yeah.
That's the exact one you failed 3-inch charge twice on me.
The curse still remains with me on the dice, okay, guys? We know it happens.
Yeah.
Clearly, it's happened more than once. I'd forgotten about that, but thanks for bringing up.
That's all right. That's one thing I remember. I've fought Fyreslayers a few times. They're really tough. I love the army because it's just It sounds a lot more complicated, but it's very much simple. Heroes, troops, charge in, go and smash.
Yeah,
it's an honest army.
Yeah, it's really, really powerful. Especially, I don't know if you said it, but the Runefather has his bodyguards of the Hearthguard as well.
Yeah. No,
so
basically, like the Runefather, as long as he's wholly within 6 inches of a Hearthguard unit, he can. Any of these Volkites or Hearthguards, but normally does the Hearthguard. He has a 3-up shrug, and unlike normal bodyguard units where the bodyguards can't ward save, Hearthguard can. So they have a 4-up ward save, as long as they're wholly within 9 inches of a hero. So yes, you have the 3-up shrug from the Runefather and then a 4-up ward from the Berserkers. Yeah.
it's hard to lift off a board.
Yeah.
They are hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so yeah, I think what you've got very well here is when you're building a battle tactic army, it's not just about scoring your battle tactic, about controlling. But what you're doing here is essentially turning your Fyreslayers armies. All you need to really think about is, do I hold more than them? Because as long as you're doing the bare minimum to get those points, you're going to be ahead. Because then it comes down to stopping the other person's tactic. So I can't speak for the Fyreslayers, but in the old JHB of Khorne, was very easy your stuff was so easy to get that all you had to do was think, how do I stop their stuff? And that's just what was murder lusting around. And it becomes a very different game, a much more easy to manage game than if you were to build like a spam list where you've got to kill stuff, or you also got to think about buying, which is a big thing. Talking of people who just spam the worst things in the world, Jason, would you like to talk to us about your sad little Mortis guards who only have a 2-up save? I promise I'll stop with that now.
You're fine. This is my OBR. This is where I would have gone next with my full-on tournament list. There is one change from the last tournament I played. So, Null Myriad. It's effectively... There's rumours about it not being, but it's basically the meta list for OBR at the minute. It's when you're within 9 inches of a Mortisan hero, wholly within 9, which is the 2 Bone Shapers. It's a 2-up signal. Just
could come in, because you made a good comment there. Is that the Null Myriad is a list that Games Workshop came out and said is pulling its weight, suggesting it's not a regularly picked list. I've only ever faced Null Myriad. I've faced nothing else. So just to give context to the lie they're currently telling. But yeah, sorry, Jason. Just to give context.
No, I love Mortis Praetorian better, which gives me a charge in the enemy's charge phase. But with the prevalence of magic, Null Myriad is where you go.
Yeah.
It will change sometime. So, the list I chose: Catacross, 20 wound model, 3-up saver standard. He doesn't really like heroes, so he smashes any hero in front of him. Many attacks. Various debuffs to the enemy, so I can give -1 to hit to something on the battlefield, just like that. Main thing you do is you spend a command point on him and get a bubble, 24-inch bubble around him that gives +1 to hit and +1 to save for all your units, wholly within 24. Which, if you place him centrally, that's 90% of the board.
Yeah.
And you need to sit there. You can only do that when you're not in 3 inches of the enemy. But effectively, the way it works is if he does get within 3 inches of you, he pretty much kills what's in front of him, so he's not within 3 inches of you for next turn. So, yeah, he's big, he's powerful. Oh, and he can heal, he can bring back models to basically anything on the board now.
Yeah.
When they die, he can heal or bring back. Now, this is slight difference, which you guys haven't seen yet. The Bone Shaper is my general. He has the command trait Dark Acolyte. That Dark Acolyte means the first spell from my lore that is successfully cast cannot be unbound. I'll do the battle tactics part of this in a second because that's an important one. The spell's not even really important, but it's 6. The 6+ explode to 2 hits goes to a 5+ explode to 2 hits. Not important for the battle tactics side of it. The change that you guys haven't seen is I take another Bone Shaper and give him the artifact, the Artisan's Key, which is double healing on a 3-up. 4-up. Okay. 3-up, I think it is. So I split them out between the two now. So my grand strat is spellcasting Savant. So keep my general, who is a Locust, alive. So effectively, I'm trying to keep that. The Bone Shaper that can do more healing will be going a bit further forward, the one that isn't my general. Try and keep my general alive a bit longer. Now, the spam part of the list. 6 Immortus Guard. Each Immortus Guard with the bubble up is 5 wounds on a 2-up save. They are bodyguards onto every hero I have. A 2-up shrug over for a bodyguard unit. So 30 wound buff onto any hero that I have, pretty much. All of these, so when you finally kill a model on 2-up, can be brought back on a 3-up from my heroes. So my last battle with Mike on Skaven got it down, one of those guys down to 1 model. The next turn it went back up to 3 or 4 models. And it just came back.
What a joy that was. What a joy. I really enjoyed Age of Sigmar at that point. I was like, I'm really glad I played Warhammer.
Their attack profile is actually fairly strong as well. Yeah. They are, was it 3 or 4 attacks now? It's been, my brain is not working today. I'm just checking, but I think it's 3 attacks a model, 3s, -2 for 2. Yeah. But with OBR, you're more like, well, with Catacross's bubble, that becomes 2s and 3s. Depending on what buff you give them, because OBR is very command heavy, so I get something like 12 command points at the start of the turn. You would give them bludgeon probably, so that'll be 3 attacks a model, 2s, 3s, -3 for 2. They also, if you don't give them bludgeon, have a command once per battle, where I can fight a second time in the combat phase as well. So they're stupidly saved, they're stupidly hard to kill, they come back, and they can hit twice occasionally.
Yeah.
They're great. Absolutely love them. Yeah, we've got 2 groups of 6 of them. They're horrible to put on the field, but you gotta love them. Just for the time, they just don't die. Yeah. Okay. Right. I love playing with them, not against them. I like playing with them. The other part of this is 2 lots of Death Riders, 5 Death Riders, just for a bit of speed. They have good impact hits. They're all right in combat. I've learned actually. To be fair, unlike your guys, the Chaos Knights, when I've used them, the horses do more damage than the guys with the swords on the back. But that's just what it is.
I have a theory that is out of sheer embarrassment that horses are just like, what is happening up there? What is going on? Just like, who's out?
Okay. Battle tactics. There are So many easy battle tactics for this army with this build. Turn 1. You used magical dominance. Successfully cast a wizard and don't have any. Successfully cast a spell with a wizard and don't have it unbound. Command trait Dark Acolyte means I can just do that, and as long as I get a casting value of 5, it's done. Nothing you can do to stop that. Straight away.
Yeah.
That's obviously the GHB one. You've got 2 book tactics that are really quite simple. One of them, Trample the Defiant. With the Death Rider units, I have 2 of them. Make a charge and finish the turn within 3 inches of an enemy. That's it. Simple as that. So what's really fun is you charge into a line. If the impact hits do go crazy and kill that unit, because I've made a charge, I can still pile in 3 inches. So technically I've got to be as long as your back line was within 6 inches of your front line, I can just move a little bit further forward and just get it. A nice easy one again. Sculptor's Entourage is contest an objective, not control, contest an objective wholly outside your territory with an Immortus Guard and a Mortizan, a Bonereaper. So you literally just walk up the field with the Immortus Guard and it's done. It's as simple as that. Other ones that are really simple for this one. Led into the Maelstrom, I think it was called.
Yeah.
Yes. Charge with a hero and a battle line. It's all battle line. I want to get Catacross into combat occasionally. My Bonereapers could quite happily get into combat. Even if you manage to hit them back, they've got a 2-up shrug onto the Immortus Guard that's standing next to them anyway, so whatever. Bait and Trap's another one, because I retreat 2, charge 2, depending on what's happening, but retreat the Death Riders out, charge other things in. Surround and Destroy is going to be a tough one. It is possible if you build into that, so the 3 different edges on the board.
Yeah.
But it's a bit more fiddly because of I don't have much movement in this army, which is why the Death Riders are important. But it's always possible. The General, obviously, if he dies, kill something that kills him, it's possible once again, but it's more a matter of trying to figure out what to do with that one. If he dies, it's going to be hard to come back because that's Grand Strat gone as well as a bulk of my healing. And the other one that is really simple for this army: get more out than in. I want to walk up the board. I just want to keep walking up the board. That's what have I spoken about? 6, 7 battle tactics there. There are still other ones that are doable, but those ones are fine. It's easy to do with this army.
Absolutely. Paul, I'll go to you first.
So
start slating on the Immortus Guard.
So when Jason was brand new to the game, I was like, Jason, come into our fold. Come and join us in this world of Age of Sigmar. We want you because I knew how well Jason does with board games, just in general. And he pondered and he had a look at books and he said, I've found my army. I want to run OBR. And we're like, good for you, sir. No. This has been the bane of my life, old book and new. The idea that old book, more or less 9 times out of 10, my Ren meant nothing. And nowadays it may mean something, not unless he's got a 2-up save. So I've played OBR an awful lot. When I'm not playing Jason, apparently it gets picked randomly by Swiss pairings and I have to play them in tournaments. So I've played this list before with my Gits, and on one occasion I did okay, and on the other time I got ran over. So like Jason said, great battle tactic selection there, and at the same time an army that can still do things. It's why it's meta at the moment. So hands off to Jason on that one.
Yeah, absolutely, I would agree. Now when we spoke about your list, you mentioned that sort of Fyreslayers. It was you could get your tactics. It was then about managing the board as kind of the next thing to do. Here with the list you have is very thin. Now what I mean by that is that you're scoring battle tactics on things you're already doing. You should be charging your Death Riders. You should be charging in your core. You should be achieving those tactics as you go through the game and killing stuff. Now you have obviously the same. It's about comes down to board management and moving a Mortis guard isn't impossible. You've got you can, is it up to a 7-inch move with one of the command points or 8-inch move or something like that?
5-inch standard. I can go up to 8-inch without running. Obviously now I
Yeah.
can run, which I can run and I can do all sorts of other stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, so it's the idea is that you're building a list that as I play the game, I should be scoring. You are scoring your points. Whereas sometimes you can build a list that can score tactics, but it doesn't. It's not conducive to the wider plan. GW spoke about this recently in their last meta watch, but they mentioned the Skaven, for example, battle tactics that you have to commit. The idea to score them is you break something off and you can go do it while the rest of your force stays intact. But you can't do that at Skaven because everything goes. You start splitting it all up. Because what you ideally want is a very base plan, and the tool list you presented is a very simple, straight plan. Like I'll score my battle tactics by playing how I need to play, and that comes down to picking the right units can actually get that and have that lovely bit of combination between I need this, I need to I need some Death Riders to charge in. Excellent, I need to do that anyway. The other way is, if you don't mind, let me know when we're looking at Slaanesh.
Yeah. Here we go.
Okay, so from that, this is an approach where it's a much wider plan in that I have picked units that will go score battle tactics as their primary thing and hopefully fall into a plan afterwards, which tends to be how I play. So here is also about linking them together, which I think is very important in this GHB. So theoretically, what we're looking at here is the heroes aren't too important for the battle tactic. It comes down to Slick Blade Seekers, the Demonettes, and the Chariot. So ideally, turn 1, Slick Blade Seekers go wide for surround the enemy because they've got a 14-inch move. Demonettes move up, do their charge with the Chariot, so they start to feeding off the depravity points. Second turn, with 14-inch move, you would treat the Demonettes and the Chariot out. Slick Blade Seekers go in. More depravity points gets chewed up because they're there in combat, and that is retreat 2, charge 2. Then it's easy. You start moving in. You get out your territory for intimidate. 12 depravity points. Your Demonettes with the icon of infinite excess will get you on average. I think I worked it out. 24 depravity points if you get that going at the right time. So it's all about that. So it's about using the movement. There's 3 tactics based on. So you do surround, retreat 2, charge 2. Then because you removed your Demonettes and your Chariot out, they charge back in for lead into the Maelstrom. Magical Dominance is our latest hold hands and run. You can just get that by just playing it smart. Get 12 depravity points. You'll be summoning Demonettes towards the end, and you'll be able to get that. So it's a different way in that this was planned. This has not got much of a primary game either, and it's not got much of a battle plan rather than score points, run to the corner, score points, and just churn out battle attacks as you go, hoping you can do enough damage to keep them still. Because as Slaanesh pile up the depravity, you're looking at +1 to hit, 5 up wards, and 6s on walls. So you should be winning that. You should be winning the trade anyway at that point. But that's what I think is really good with Slaanesh at the moment. The speed they have is so easy to kind of get those points, get those battle tactics that are quite hard for other armies to get. Because if you've got slow units, getting 2 units outside your territory and 6 inches away from the sides, that could be a 2-turn move. As your dwarf stumble to the edge of the map for no reason and out of the fight. So that's the approach I took. As I say, Contour Epitome and Herald of Slaanesh. Herald of Slaanesh is very good in that if someone picks Magical Dominance, they have to re-roll their first successful roll. I mean, your opponent's going to take that into account.
Yeah.
But how many times have been in a situation where we have no other choice and we have to pick a battle tactic and there's nothing good on the menu?
Yeah.
Like you've gone to Greg's for lunch. Nothing's good there. It's all chicken grease and salt. You've got to pick something. So that's when we'll pick riskier tactics, and casting an arcane bolt on a 5 or mystic shield on a 5 is all well and good until you've got to do it twice. Then it gets a little bit nerve-wracking, you know. So that kind of stuff is where we're going here. I'll go to you, Paul, because you play Slaanesh. You're
Yeah,
quite a bit more familiar
it's
with
an
the
interesting
jank.
one. So this, like, yeah, you've gone kind of very similar to like the previous list we looked at in terms of like, the massing out, and you're right, the Blitzbarb archers are kind of integral at the moment. The one thing I found from my experience with Slaanesh is looking at this either will work or it will fold hard. And I can see where you're coming with the battle tactics. I would say the Exalted Chariot, the base, is the biggest cursor it has on it, because getting it in is great. It doesn't take much though for it to get snared into combat, and then trying to get it out because of the size of its base is a real struggle trying to get outside of the 3 inches.
Okay.
So, but yeah, looking at this, I can see what you're saying, and how you explain the battle tactics around it. It sounds like it could work, and in the right hands, it could be pretty volatile in terms of achieving those battle tactics. And like you said, glutton for depravity as well, as when you need 36 or more depravity by the end of the battle. With the icon of infinite excess, like you said, yeah, you're going to achieve that quite comfortably. So it sounds like a good list. I think it'll be a very hard list to run, but with experience and time, I think it could potentially work. I would be too scared trying it myself, but then again, it's interesting. I would definitely say it's interesting, but it's ballsy. That's the word I'll be using for, ballsy.
But this is the list I'm looking to build with Slaanesh, so we'll soon see if it's ballsy or stupid.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, there'll be a little bit of changes. Like Blitzbarb Seekers are a relatively new addition. We've got 80 points spare, and I'm not sure what to do with
Yeah,
that.
1920 is very low, so like an endless spell maybe or something, but no, I completely
Well,
understand why.
the idea of the Bladebringer is, as a slight departure, is you give it the command ability where it yells insults at people.
Yeah.
So you run up and you essentially can give your Demon X -3 rend, so Bliss Barbs, the normal rend, and that to choke up everything. And then you just move them around the board, 10-inch move, running around. But that could work on a contorted epitome. I just really like that's the model. But that's a side. Jason, any thoughts? You too can tell me I'm an idiot this time. This will never work.
Don't know Slaanesh as much as Bull. Only time I've fought a chariot, old book. It did all right, but then it died rather fast. Like Paul said, the base size, it's so easy just to block it in somewhere. Or
Yeah.
the other side of that is just getting it around terrain.
Yeah.
Just
It's a pie plate. It's
getting it around terrain to get into it.
Yeah.
But it is good when it gets there.
It's got the attacks. That's the thing. It has attacks. Like, it has an incredible amount of attacks. It has almost like 18-20 attacks around it. But when a lot of the time in the old book, in the old book, it was 4s and 4s, -1 for 1 for a lot of their attacks. You kind of like the whips went out, the tongues were wagging and everything, and like one enemy may even fall down, and I'm like, oh, right, okay. What's my save? 4 up. Do I have a ward save? No. Oh. So that's his curse in the past.
Yeah, Slaanesh for some reason until this book was very much like you can go and have fun. Can I have a ward save? Nah, no. Have your fun, but don't wear protection.
Yeah.
So that kind of rounds up. So the idea here, where we say is playing the battle tactics first. I have really enjoyed playing it this way because you can still add your jank in. I started to have some real success with Skaven once I took this approach, and this is kind of a guy who was not performing well with Skaven before. But much easier to control board, much easier to score tactics. As we say, the list you two have provided in particular, not changing how you're playing. It's maybe shifting a couple of units around, bearing this in mind, and that it's not just a killing game, it's a points game. Whenever I talk to new players and they ask about like what would you recommend or what would you say or advise, it's always it's a points game. It's not a killing game. It doesn't matter. Like I had a game where I had a corn in the old book. It was round 4 and it killed everything. And it was like, okay, so should I just call it here? And I was like, no, we need to roll for priority because I can still score points here. Like I can summon a corn. Like it's a point, and I want those points. because that's how we will decide the winner of this. This is this approach. Again, not for everybody, but I have had fun doing it this way. Any closing thoughts from you two on taking the battle tactic approach to list building?
Do you want to start, Jason, or shall I?
Can if you want. I understand where this is. It is something I do when building it, but I don't necessarily, me myself, I don't
Yeah.
build for battle tactics. The
Mm.
way I build a list is I build it with kind of what I want and then work out if I can do enough with it and then adjust if needs be. But yeah,
Yeah.
it is part of the process. You have to think about it. You can have the best list in the game, but if you can't score the points, you're not going to do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Paul.
The only thing I would say around this is the other psychographic profiling on this one. This would really kind of key into what's known as a Johnny type player, who really likes the list tech, and then also try and work out all the ramifications and how they can produce the best results. The one thing I would say is if you're ever going to do an army around the battle tactics is always have perhaps one, maybe two possible backup tactics, because you only need to have something die on you that you unexpected, and boom, there goes a battle tactic. And you're like, Christ, now I'm kind of edging through the pages, guessing what I'm going to do next. So I would always say, like, plan for 6, maybe 7 battle tactics that you can comfortably do. Then that way you have a backup just in case. But
Yeah, and absolutely. And this is where with the armies I've got, Khorne and Skaven, we fall down because I don't have now a solid, with the new JHB, a solid 6 or 7 tactics. I have a solid 3, and I'm looking to try and build out that 4th one. Hence why in both my armies, and maybe we do another video about list advice, is play the primary. So Khorne and Skaven is like, if I score the primary points, I just got to stop them scoring primary points, and eventually the math will flip in my favor. That's for future conversation, though. Stay tuned. Yeah.